Alright, everybody. Yes. It's another brand new day, another brand new week on the Christopher Odiley Notebook on the Morgis podcast. You know, the good thing about the Morgis podcast right now, especially the Christopher Odiley Notebook series, is that, we have just launched the Morgis Academy, whereby all of our podcasts, they are all original articles, handcrafted, created originally for you, to help you, to assist you in your musical journey. It's very simple to get hold of those articles. Just go to morgis.com/academy. So go to morgis.com/academy. You can be able to get all of the articles on this podcast. Besides you listening to this podcast or following the podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, on Spotify, there is original articles that you can actually read, save, download, and keep to actually also, beef up your library of experience in the music business. Yes, my name is Christopher Odiley. As usual, I am your host and author of the Christopher Odiley Notebook series, your one and only podcast for music business knowledge. This podcast is always brought to you by Morgis Records. Morgis Records undertakes, music publishing, music distribution, talent management, talent mentorship, and talent development. Morgis Records should be your go-to place if you're an artist, or if you're new an artist, and if you listen to this podcast or watching this video, you can check out the podcast on Spotify. This one specifically, just type or search Christopher Odiley Notebook. The Christopher Odiley Notebook is same on Spotify, it's same on Stitcher, and it's same on iTunes. And today I've got a special topic for you. I call it a special topic because, over the years, my experience being around a young artist, trying to mentor young artists and trying to get them motivated and trying to advise one way or the other, consult for them and everything. Most of the young artists that I've always come across always believe that, they are already up there. There's this kind of self-confidence, which is not a bad thing anyway, but it depends on how you handle it. It can simply get into your head and worst of it, make you forget yourself. All right, man. I don't want to be too grammatical on this one, but I just want to make that point clear. So today we are dealing with the importance of education in the life of the music artist. So therefore, I had titled this, wait for it, 6 main reasons why music artists should get education. I try to, how should I put this? I try to research, look around my memories. Mind you, everything has to be naturally, not like I have to scout everywhere and try to, get what people have written and everything. No, I really have to dig deep into my memory, into my talent as a writer, as a music expert, to be able to come through to you with 6 good points why music artists should get educated. Education, like this, is the base of civilization, and the reasons why music artists should get education cannot be overemphasized. Civilization is way beyond the use of social media, flashing the jewelries and the cars and the creeps and the babes. It's way beyond that right now. In very recent times, the life that we're all living in has been split into two. This is due to civilization. There's the one of visual life, and the other one is reality. The most difficult part of all of it all is that one cannot actually at a point in time, differentiate which one of it you actually mostly attached, because the virtual life is actually almost becoming something that we cannot avoid. So if we take a critical look at the music industry, we will find that it is highly, very, very crafty industry with prerequisite, for strong educational background. That, for us to be able to succeed and do some of the things that we actually want to do in the music business or in the music industry, there is every course for us to actually have some minimum educational background. Like they say that ignorant, is not an excuse, and this is a fact. When one think of the clashes and backlashes between record labels and and artists over the years, locally, locally, I mean country by country or on the international stage, over the years, definitely, most definitely, I feel there's no excuse for music artists not to go ahead and get minimum education. Why? Why am I saying this? Why am I calling on people to get education when they have all of the talent in this world? This why that I am asking myself right now is that it's one of the questions that I always come across when you try to speak to young artists, or even not only young artists, even the artists who are there. Let me tell you something. We all knew the R. Kelly confession that, on the Gayle King interview, that he never even knows how much was he having in his bank account. I believe that's a huge concern. And I can tell you that is one of the reasons why I have gone deep into my archive of knowledge and try to see that I share this information with you. That is the 6 main reasons why the music artists should get educated. We have heard of artists who are on top of their game, on top of the world, with barely no education. Okay, it's fine. When you get started, you are so young and everything, but as you go along, why don't you try to check yourself into some local schools? Or maybe at least get registered into some legal institution or some certified institution and get some private teachers, even on tour. Teachers can be on tour with you. So, without further ado, without further bickering and bumping around the bush or beating around the bush, as they say, let's get to this. 6 main reasons why the music artists should get education. What is education? Education, is no doubt. This is not an official definition. This is my perspective of education. And I believe some of y'all too also have your own perspective about education. And at the end of the day, if we can share all of them together, we will better be understanding exactly what we're getting ourselves into in life. Education is the base of civilization. And the reasons why music artists should get education cannot be overemphasized. This is not, just listen, man. All right. Oh, man. Pardon me, man. I always like to laugh, even if I'm talking about serious things. Yes, this is who I am. I like to laugh a little bit and simplify things a little bit so we can be all on the same page. Civilization, as they say, like these days, it's 2019 and going forward, civilization, you know, is way beyond the ability to, to use the social media. We know the social media is already there and we can't avoid or escape it. But then, reality is that civilization, you know, is beyond the social media usage. Because why I'm saying this is that worldwide, we've got 7 billion people in the world, and more than half of the 7 billion people are already in social media. So it seems like we are living the life of social media. So I put it this way: civilization, is way beyond your ability to use social media as a music artist, flash the jewelries and the cars, the cribs and the babes. You know what we do, music artists on social media. All right. In very recent times, the life we live in has been split into two. Let me be very clear with this. Have been split into two. One is virtual, and the other is reality. The life of reality. The life of virtual and the life of reality. The most difficult part of all of this is that it's actually very difficult to differentiate between the life of virtual and the life of reality, and which side of the equation that one is actually attached. This is where it's very, very difficult. So if we take a critical look at the music industry, we will realize, or we will find out, that the music industry is a highly crafty industry with prerequisite for strong educational background. The music industry is begging the music artists. I am up there. I am a strong industry. I require education. Go get me some kind of education so we can ride together. This is what the music industry is calling on artists to do. All right, let's move on. Oh man, ignorant, they said, is not an excuse. Remember that? And this is a fact. When one think of the clashes, the clashes between the music artists and the backlashes between the record labels and the music artists over the years, there's definitely no excuse for minimum level of education not to actually be required. From the setting up, this is music now. From the setting up and running of the business of the music industry over the years, personally, I have realized that without a minimum education, one will be lost in the game, in quote, lost in the game. The industry is highly, it's watertight industry that is, that is so much enlightening as any of the other industry, any of the other highly professional industries in the world, or on the planet. So music business is surely on the side that requires not only basic knowledge, but also advanced business skills. I know what I'm talking about, and I believe you know too. Advanced business skills. That's what the music industry requires. Now, when you flip the coin on the other side of music, which is the production side, even more education is required at nearly every level, from composition to recording, to mixing, to mastering. And again, within the production itself lies some kind of business. Not some kind of business, come on man, huge business opportunities. In production of music, there's huge business opportunity. And all of the facets of this production department, let me be very clear, will require minimum education to run properly. Number one is music contracts, from production in studio to publishing, composition, all of those things, everything that's in the music industry, apart from the people that are cleaning the studio or the tea ladies. If some of them, they actually need some education to know how to serve the people, the clients and all that. So, everything in the music industry, from creative concept to creation, is laced with processes, and these processes requires various kinds of agreements and contracts, policies and terms, privacy policy, confidential, indemnity funds, and everything. They are all required. So, just for this reason only, a musician need to be able to read, write, study, understand all these various types of contracts and agreements that awaits you. As a young musician, if you're just growing up, maybe you just finish, you just go through your elementary schools and your primary schools, and now you going through high school and everything. This is the great time for you to actually get yourself associated with mentorship and many other things that will get you educated in the music business, and also as you go along, your lawyers are there to read and explain contracts to you. Because what I understand, again, one of the other things that I understand is that, or that I found out, is that the music artists, they depend solely on their lawyers. Whatever you try to explain to them, they say, no, don't worry about that. I pay, that's what I pay my lawyers for. Okay. But if you are educated, this is what's going to happen. Your lawyers are there to read and explain to you. But those who are able to read and write with understanding of agreements and contract are able to make informed decisions. They are able to negotiate the terms of the agreement before getting themselves involved, or even before getting through to lawyers. You must have read your contract, read your agreement and everything, and you understand them on your own. So this time around, your lawyer or your attorney can only explain to you the legality of all of those contracts, terms, and agreement, just because you were able to read and understand. So when your attorney explains to you, it's easy for you to actually grab it all. So you will be able to advise your attorney that I need to sign this, or I don't need to sign this, or it need to be adjusted this way or that way, as opposed to the other way around, where your attorney is the one who is sitting there telling you what to do with your career and everything. So music contract is number one reason why music artists should get themselves educated or get education. Now, number two is the act. I call it the act of polishing your skills. The act of polishing your skills. What do I mean by this? There's a saying that, talent alone is not enough. This is a common saying, everybody knows it. But I can tell you that music artists always try to avoid this clear-cut saying, quotation. It says, talent alone is not enough. And I honestly believe that. Do you believe that as a music artist? So this simply means that when you have the talent to develop melodies, rhythms, and in the various musical genres, you usually need some form of education to get them polished. By this I mean that if you have education in the process, and other guy who never have anything about education, yourself with education, you will be able to write your words and properly place them as lyrical content in order of musical compositions. Oh my goodness. You see, okay, can I repeat that? Let me repeat it. It says like, if you are educated, all right, please guys, I think it's better to actually just write this down, because when you write something down, you hardly forget it. This is very important. It says that if you are like kind of educated, or if you are educated, you will be able to write your words and properly place them in lyrical content order of musical compositions. Let me tell you something. Let me explain this. When people are talented, and some people, they play with words. talented, play with words. They can jot down good words. It is politically inspired or anything, love, relationship, you know, life inspired. Put these things down and jot on a piece of paper like this one. All right. But when you are not educated, you will be unable to place them correctly in lyrical order that justifies professional musical composition. So in this situation, you are going to be looking for another writer who is educated to help you compose your words. But if we are able to get some kind of education, obviously we will be able to go halfway or even overboard. Your ability to read musical chords or express your musical, or express your music in professional graphs as industry requires is an added advantage to your career. It's easier for you to become a great musician. So when you add that little bit of education to your talent, you become, or you are on your way to becoming a genius. Number 3, character building. This is another one that I actually love so much, character building, because without a great character, you are nobody. I've spoken with people who always say, no, my life is my life, and I don't care, I don't give a fuck about who, I don't do this, nah, man, come on. Your life ain't your life really that much as you think. Your life, you share it with other people. And also, you are, as long as you're living in this world, you are sharing the lives of other people with them. So, character building is the number 3 of the reason why music artists need to get education. Because with great education, by its original motives, education itself is character building. In this sense, when you have acquired some minimum level of education, preferably high school and upwards, you have already achieved some level of character as a young man or as a young woman. After a thorough research of the human character, at least with a high school educational background, your massive natural talent, you are set to go as far as you want to go in the industry. So character building is one of the reasons why people need to get educated even before diving into the music industry, because education helps to shape your character as a man or as a woman. That is really what this point is all about. Then we have, oh man, ladies and gentlemen, sometimes when I manage to find myself talking about very important topic like this, that is between life and your profession as a musician, it gets me so excited, because it takes a lot of inspiration also on my side and from God to be able to put a piece like this together. That being said, let's move on to number 4. All right, number 4. Another dope point on the reason why music artists should get education is finance and assets, or assets management. Finance and assets management. I believe this one will interest almost everyone. We have seen, a situation whereby college dropouts, high school dropouts, and some of them becoming millionaires and billionaires and everything all over the world. But there's a question, and no doubt about it. How people who barely step their foot in the corridors of colleges have become billionaires. We all knew that. But at the same time, we all know the dilemma of financial misappropriation that they're often tied to musicians across the board, all over the world. Not to say we don't applaud the very few musicians who has managed their artistic incomes to include investments in in major businesses and other business portfolios. Reality is that a minimum high school level education, we properly position you in a better place to understand how money really works. How to avoid financial mismanagement and be more prudent. You know, you are not expected to remember. I am not saying that you should be a financial or professional, or let me just put it that way. You would not expect to be a finance professional and asset manager at a professional level. What I'm trying to say is that if you are educated, and you are able to read and you're able to write and remember, you've got character already. So you are able to be in a better position to work better with those people that you have appointed to manage your finances and manage your asset and estate. You are better prepared to work with them to be able to come up with better results. So, finance and asset management is one of the reasons why music artists should get educations. You need to actually be more prudent. We know these are excess amount of times, but sometimes we've seen artists $100,000 jewelries, $100,000 wristwatch. You buy during the time at the peak of your career, but at the end of the day, when the ships are down, no more concert and not as huge as it can before. You know what happened? You still gonna sell off that $100,000 jewelry, that $100,000 wristwatch that you bought, that you were flaunting all over social media and all over the places. You still gonna sell it for peanuts. So financial management, financial prudency, and asset management awareness is key to the success of every musician across the board, young, old, experienced or non-experienced. You need to be more prudent in your financial dealings. That brings us to number 5. five. All right. Music education. What a better place and what a better way to understand the business of music than the Christopher Odiley Notebook on the Mauritius Podcast with me, your author, your creator of the Christopher Odiley Notebook, the man himself, Christopher Odiley. Now that brings us to number 5. The reasons why music artists need to get education. Expanding your territories. That's number 5. It says expanding your territories. The idea of expanding our business territory has become very crucial in these modern times as the word keep turning around and changing faces and colors like the words keep changing faces and colors like the chameleon. I'm quoting the piece there for you to understand exactly. As more and more musicians are buying into different businesses, it is only very crucial for us to highlight the importance of education in meeting with the challenges of the many business dealings ahead. Obvious. Having the wisdom to control your finance and assets already, you are then exposed to the opportunities of extending and expanding your business ventures, and only a minimum high school education can be very, very helpful in this regard. Let's look at that. You've got characters now, you've got finance and asset management skills and everything knowledge, because you can read and write and understand through your minimum education. Now you are hunger to succeed, to expand your territory. So with minimum education, you will be very glad to expand your territory. So that is what number 5 is all about. So expanding your business interest and territory, and with education that is possible. Number 6 is Re-establishing yourself. Just like we all know, life is not stable. There are other times where things are, the ships are down, everything is like going backward and everything. You don't understand exactly what to do. Instead of staying confused and being erratic and everything, for the fact that you've gotten character through your educational background, you are able to devise means of bouncing back easily, easier than those who never have any form of education. So we are talking about re-establishing yourself at the times when things ain't going the right way. So let me quote some verse from there. It says, "We all knew nothing is static in the business world, and most of our music career is no different. Nothing is stable, nothing is static. Music career is no different. It's a known fact that your career as a musician is as short as a career of other other people in the sport discipline. So having the ability to devise plan B, in a situation where recording deals or recording contracts are over, concerts no more coming through, concert no more coming through as expected, then you have something else to depend on. This is a mindset of education. This is a mindset that you can only achieve with a little bit of educational background. All right. Well, folks, this last one, it says re-establishing yourself, the knowledge and ability to re-establish yourself in times of trouble. When you are civilized, when you are educated, you always have the great character to have the something what we call plan B, something in the tank, reserve tank, to be able to help you to bounce back. That's what this is all about. Re-establishing yourself. The number 6 all important music education for the music artist. Well, folks, that's it for now. Well, the lists. Let me cap this up. The list of reasons why musicians, should compulsorily have some minimum education is quite a lot. Remember that. The list can go on and on and on and on, depending on where you are and what you expected or where you expected to reach in your career as a musician. The choice is definitely up to you as an individual. As always, well, folks, that's it. That's all I have for you today on the Christopher Odiley Notebook on the Morgis podcast. Please don't forget to follow the podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, and Spotify. Search the Christopher Odiley Notebook. Is the only music business education, music business podcast. You go check it out on iTunes, Stitcher, and Spotify. Most of all, hang with me on the Christopher Odiley Notebook official podcast website. It's called podcast.morgis.com. Otherwise, go to morgis.com, the official website of Morgis Records. Check out Morgis Talent Management. Check out Morgis Music Publishing, Music Distribution, and everything that Morgis has to offer you as an artist. They are there at morgis.com. Yo, folks, I really appreciate your time listening to this podcast, listen to what I have to say, hanging with me on the Christopher Odiley Notebook. It's always a pleasure. You always see me smiling. This is exactly how I live. This is exactly how I do. Knowledge, business, organization, character. It's all about a business. It's all about a moolah, baby. Until next time, when I see you on the flip side with another great topic again on the Christopher Odiley Notebook, I remain Christopher Odiley, your host on the Morgis podcast. Peace!